In this video, we're going to be taking a look at Spring Boot Developer Tools. Now, this is a module that we can add to the project, and it does help us with a few things as far as rapid application development. If we were developing a web application, we could insert into the browser, add a browser plugin called Live Reload, which would work in this. But another feature is for it to compile or restart Spring Boot upon changes. So there's a couple of different ways to trigger that. And to set things up, the first thing that we need to do is come to Maven and add in a dependency. We come in here, add a new dependency, Spring Boot Developer Tools or Dev Tools. Add in that dependency, and it is going to be the org Spring Framework Boot. And once you have that dependency added, you might have to go ahead and refresh the Maven dependencies if auto refresh is not enabled. And now what we can do is let's come over to the beer controller. And when I'm running, we need to start up the application. There's a couple different ways to trigger it. So what's happening is the dev tools are going to monitor the class files, the compiled class files, to see if they've changed. When they change, it's going to trigger a restart of Spring Boot. So let me clear the console output. And I'm just going to change this to 1, 2, 3, 4. So that is now changed. That is a change on that. To trigger it, what we can do is come up here to build and just say build project, or just recompile the beer controller. So that recompiles that, and that compile action, because the compiled the bytecode class file got updated, that is going to trigger Spring Boot to reinitialize. Now, if you are using IntelliJ Ultimate, this is a Spring specific property, so you can work the course on the Community Edition, but that does not have the Spring support in it. If you want the Spring support, that needs to be the Ultimate Edition, and in the Ultimate Edition, this is an Ultimate specific configuration. So I'm going to come in here to the Spring Boot application, and what we can say is on update, we want to update classes and resources. And then also on frame deactivation, update classes and resources. So I'm going to say apply to that, say OK, and I'm going to clear the console again. So now I'm making a change. I'm just changing the log output, but that is going to cause a change to the class file. So you can see at this point, Spring Boot is not restarted. We can keep working in the IDE and do other things. Still see that Spring Boot is not restarted. But if you're doing changes and working with Postman, for example, if I toggle over to Postman, so I'm going over to Postman, if I bounce back to IntelliJ, we can see that Spring Boot does restart. So if you're going to be doing small changes and tweaks, this is a handy way to do that, because within a few seconds, if not even that, Spring Boot will reinitialize. So it's a handy way to be reloading that context. Sometimes I like to use it. Sometimes I like to make sure that things are coming back up. I did want to make you aware of these options so that you can use this tool to provide the developer tools. If you're working on a web application, you're making changes to the web page, this works out really well. In a RESTful type situation, you might be working with validation or trying to get some JSON properties work properly. This can also be a handy option. So maybe not something you use every day, but I want to make you aware of this feature with the Spring Boot development tools. Having that quick reload can help your development workflow.